All right, now brace yourself on today's video. Are you sitting down? Last week on a community poll, I asked which video you guys would like to see the most, and overwhelmingly, the response was a sneak peek at the unreleased cards coming to Marvel Snap. Well, some of these cards have been data mined before by popular Marvel Snap websites. Heck, even the official Snap Discord has a spoiler section dedicated to these cards. However, I've worked with a master data miner who's assured me that some of these cards have never been shown before, and I get to show them, which is pretty freaking cool. And one of them in particular, I'm extremely hyped about. Obviously, all of these cards we're talking about today are subject to change. Heck, we've seen it done before with prior released cards. So this video we're on today is going to be part one of a two-part series. We're going to be going through the A through L of all of the unreleased cards. If you want me to hurry up and get part 2 out as quickly as possible, let me know. Click the like button down below, and if we get an overwhelmingly response, I'll get right to it. Let's get to the cards. We start out today's list with probably one of the most exciting cards that I get to talk about today. It's Absorbing Man, who is a 4-cost 3 power. And Absorbing Man is a reveal lover's dream. He is the mystique for the on-reveal class. Now, this makes him insane, obviously, with a lot of different synergy. You can copy Wong, which is obviously going to be abused for high power. But on top of that, guys, think about playing him after cards like Wolfsbane for some high power, Double Venoms, even Thor to get more of the hammers to power him up, and then obviously some strong 6 power drops. I think Absorbing Man is one of the top cards that I'm excited about today. Next up is Agent Coulson, one of the most beloved characters in the MCU. He is a 3/4 with some great, what we're seeing as repeated shield kind of synergy, and that is pulling random cards. Now, we've seen this with Agent 13 by pulling any random card. We've seen Nick Fury pull 6-cost cards, and now Agent Coulson, who might be the best of the bunch, pulling a random 4 and 5-cost card. Now, this is going to be fantastic to fill up Curve if you're missing these costs in your deck. And then obviously the Collector, Quinjet, and Devil Dinosaur. This is going to be awesome synergy. I think he's going to be great. We can fit him into a lot of decks. Next up, we have one of the only cards today that we don't have art or cost of. But we do have an idea of his abilities, and it's one of the strongest villains to really ever exist in Marvel, and that is Annihilus. Now, Annihilus is going to bring some strong move synergy. We don't know when you can play him, but he's going to be having each of your cards move to a random location. Now, this is going to be awesome. You can pair this with Vulture and other cards that get more powerful as you move them. Craven and beefed up multiple mans will be fantastic. I'm excited to see his full potential and what he costs. Next up for you high power, low cost fans, we have Attuma, and he looks absolutely bonkers. He's going to be having an immense power on the battlefield early on, with the only drawback of being able to destroy himself if any other cards are at the location. Now, this won't be a big deal because some other cards we're going to talk about later on this video is going to have great synergy with him, but combined with Armor, Professor X, you have ways to protect him and get some early cheap power out there, really with no drawback. Super excited for him, as I love Maximus and some of these other great value cards. If you thought Wave was crazy with the Death Wave combos, prepare yourself for Bast. Bast is going to be absolutely sick and making turn 2 a circus. I don't know if he will stay this way, but currently he is a 1/1 that's going to cause all of the cards on the next turn to cost 3 overall energy. Now, again, this is going to make turn 2 just an absolute circus with Destroyer, Giganto, a bunch of very powerful cards early on. And this is going to allow those Jubilee Casino decks, even Lockjaw, to get even more crazy with the just huge power pulls and playing very heavy-weighted decks. I'm excited for him. I'm curious on how he will be introduced into the game, but he'll be a fun one. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I actually really enjoy new 1-cost cards, and we've got the Black Knight here as a new introduction to Destroy decks. He's going to have some good synergy there, and the Destroy decks need some more opening plays outside of maybe Nova and some other options. I like the Black Knight. He is simple but effective. When you destroy him, he's going to give you another card. As a huge fan of Destroy decks myself, I like him a lot. He's going to give more options and more overall power. All right, so a common theme that you guys are going to see today is that move-type decks are going to get a lot of love, and Blink is going to continue to add fun to the deck. Now, she isn't crazy by any means, but she is a 3-cost, 1-power card that every time you move her, which you can move her each and every turn, she gains 1 power. Now, by herself, this is nothing crazy. You can kind of scale her up to reach hard-to-reach locations, or you can power up with those locations that give extra power. But what I love about her and what we're going to continue to see is cards like Kraven, who right now is a decent card. You guys can see he's going to become just a very strong card over the course in the releases of these other cards. I like Blink a lot. She's a ton of fun. All right, so Blob is an interesting card. He is a 3-cost, 4 power that cannot be moved. Like, does it look like you can move this man right here? I surely could not. Colossus has the same kind of deal, but for a cheaper overall cost. But I like Blob. I think he can be incorporated into a Heimdall deck. And he might be a great finisher to counter those arrow finishers that we're seeing a ton just devastate the top of the meta at the moment. But other than that, I don't know about Blob. Listen, I love this card. Super excited. I hope it doesn't change. We have Bullseye at a 1-cost, 2 power, and he is guaranteed to pull your next card draw as a 2-cost card. Now, this is great for several reasons. It can allow you to not have a ton of 2-drops, and you get that guarantee if you start out with him in your hands. But it can also set you up for later in the game for some strong combos. So among the weaker ones of the cards we're going to talk about today, we've got Darkhawk. And he's interesting. I think he's going to work well with Wasp or maybe Zoo decks. He's a 1/3, kind of like Zero or Blade, but with some different drawbacks. I think he can be a nice finisher maybe on turn 6, and he does have some more potential for those that like to concentrate more on the in-game, which obviously is very important in Marvel Snap. And as an added bonus, if you do have him on turn 1 and you get struck with the unlucky, Shadowlands, Savage Lands, or Central Park, you can also play him there as well. So I don't hate him, and I think he has a lot of potential. So let's just get this out of the way. This is going to be one of the coolest looking cards. When you have this thing at 3D or animated, I think this thing has the potential to be one of the coolest looking cards in the game. We have the Dazzler. Now, the Dazzler can be easily countered, I think, several ways, but I like what she does. She is a 4/4. She's been data mined kind of 2 different ways, but she does the same thing in both of them. If you have cards at every other location, she's going to get, it's anywhere between 6 and 8 power. Both of those values have been data mined and definitely subject to change, but the overall feel of the card probably won't change, which is really cool and kind of interesting. I think it's pretty easy to counter, guys. If you play Professor X early, it kind of shuts her down. Or, you can destroy a card late with Killmonger or Elektra. I think she's got some strong potential. She's pretty fun. We'll have to see how she fits into the meta. Next up, we have Elsa Bloodstone, who might be, I kid you not, my favorite card that we talk about today because I love her playstyle. Elsa Bloodstone is a 1/1, and if you are winning a location, she's going to gain an extra power each and every turn. So she can become a 1/7, which is, obviously up there with the Ebony Maw powerhouse in 1-cost drops. But why I like her so much is that you can bait your enemy. Now, Adam Warlock doesn't get a lot of play right now, but you can combine the two together from some strong combinations. But I think she's going to pair absolutely perfectly with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think if you put her down and your enemy is going to consistently try to beat her, you can just continue to get big power with the Guardians. So I think she's a lot of fun and definitely one of the more ones that I'm most excited about. All right, so now we have Flatman, who is kind of a cheap version of Mr. Fantastic. He's going to give adjacent locations 1 power each, and he costs 2/2 opposed to Mr. Fantastic's 2/3 cost. He's kind of interesting to me. I don't think he's going to give enough value, although it's a cheaper alternative to try to get the cheeky play on a hard-to-reach location. But let me know your thoughts on Flatman here. He might be interesting. All right, next up, I have to include him. He's not technically in the game yet. Galactus, the Planet Eater. You guys have already seen him played a ton. Galactus is going to destroy all other locations if he is the only one at that location, which can cause for a ton of counterplay. And he has probably by far one of the best animations in the game. Excited to see how him and obviously Thanos, which we'll talk about on the next video, how they're introduced because of the just such powerhouses that they are. Another huge movement-based card, and tons of people are big fans of Ghost Spider. She's changed a couple of times in the data mining phase, but as of now, she seems very strong. She is a 2/2, and she's going to move the last card you play to her location, which again is going to be a great follow-up to a multiple man Hulkbuster or Vulture, or amongst a bunch of other different plays that you can utilize with a Ghost Spider. I like her a ton. I think they should keep her this way at a 2/2. Very powerful, and those that are playing move decks, you're going to get your time. You're going to get your time. They're going to be very strong down the line. Now, just like Annihilus, we have another card that's very early in its development phase, but we have Goblin Queen. Now, Goblin Queen currently costs 2/3, and she's going to act as the Pocket Lumera location where you can't reveal a card this turn. So this is great to kind of mess up combos that the enemy might be planning to play on that exact turn. Obviously, more control over the enemy, the better. So next up is GwenPool. Now, as the release of this video, Black Panther was the current season pass, but GwenPool is going to do the exact same thing, but start out as a 2-cost, 1-power card. Now, I think this has incredible scaling. We've already seen what we can do with a 5-cost, 4-power, really 5/8. So I'm interested to see how you can manipulate and use this to your advantage, especially with all the strong synergy that On Reveal has. GwenPool should be a fun addition, and I do hope they keep her this way, because it'd be nice to have a kind of a pocket-sized mini Black Panther. Boy, do I love cards with great effects, but high power as an insurance policy. Helicarrier is going to be a fantastic card for discard decks. When you get rid of it, it's going to add 3 random cards to your hand. But then if you don't discard it, you still have that 10 power insurance. So I love the option here. If you get a late pull, it's not a big deal. And if you can discard it early, then you get maximum profit. So very fun card, and it's going to be interesting to see how we can fit this into some current decks. All right, now listen, I want to talk about this next one. I think this next card is going to be dangerously, dangerously powerful. Now, as of the time of filming this video, again, Sarah Dex, Miracle Sarah to be exact, is the strongest or one of the strongest decks in Marvel Snap, reducing all of the cost of your cards. Now, Hitmonkey on reveal is going to gain +3 power for each other card that you already played this turn. Now, at first, that might not seem that strong, but when you combine it with cost reduction locations, or Sarah that's giving you a bunch of 0 cost or even 1 cost cards, Hitmonkey's gonna be absolute meta, or bring that Sarah deck back to the meta if it's not countered. This is crazy. I love that Hitmonkey is bonkers, but then, you know, we still are dealing with just a garbage Cyclops. Like, come on. Another control card, my absolute favorite. We have a 3/3 JeanGrey, a lot like Professor X. I love what they did with this card. When you play Jean, you're going to force your opponent to play their card at that location if able as well. And this is potentially pretty dangerous. If you play her, you have cards like Arrow. You're going to be forcing your opponent to really go against your own will of what you're trying to get accomplished. Overall, I think control decks are going to continue to get stronger with this X-Men. The center villain of the next MCU phase and one of the most iconic Marvel characters, we have Kang the Conqueror, and he deserves to be a powerful card, and that he is. He essentially is a get out of jail free card. Turn 5 is so important in this game as it's the second to last turn, and what Kang does is it reverses time. You play Kang down. He's a 0 power card and costs 5 energy, but it doesn't matter whatsoever because everything done on that turn will be reversed without Kang, of course, because you can't just keep on playing him. But why this is so absolutely broken crazy is if your opponent does something that just you weren't ready for, Kang's going to reverse it, and then you can prep yourself. Now, what I'm interested to see with Kang is, are you going to be able to retreat after that reversal? Because that just seems a little over the top crazy, but we'll have to see how he is introduced. Next up, another early development card that we're going to have to see how it kind of flushes out. But currently, King Eitri is going to go ahead, and he is going to give your next card +4 power. Now, he is a 5-cost, 3-power card, so it'll be interesting on how he fits into different decks. But I think with, obviously, Black Panther, that makes him a 16-power card, and there is some combo potential that your opponent might not see coming here. But he's in early development, so we'll see how he flushes out. So next up, we have Kitty, who is an interesting card. I think she's going to have a lot of strategy behind her and some great synergy. She's going to be a card that you can play and pull back at any time. So you have to spend 1 energy to use her, But she's going to have good synergy with Bishop and Angela, just really focusing on those two alone. That's some strong synergy to keep on getting value out of those cards and making Angela even more broken than she already is. So that's going to be exciting to see. But Kitty will be fun, and I'm curious if she stays at the same number of values. All right, now brace yourself for this next card. We have an absolute meta powerhouse card coming up in my belief in Knull. Now, Knull is a 6-cost card, and he has 0 power. However, he has a combined power of all of the cards destroyed on that current game. And that's ridiculous. If you combine him with Venom, you get great instant value. But how about something like playing Magic, and then you play Destroyer, destroying all of the cards on the field. And then you have Destroyer on the field and Knull. And if your enemy destroyed cards, then obviously you get that too, or if locations. I think Knull is going to be a meta-defining card and just absolutely crazy. Perhaps one of the more fun and strong cards coming up next is Lady Deathstrike. She's a new tech card that kind of acts like Shang-Chi. She's a 6-cost, 4-power card, but she's going to have the ability to destroy the strongest card at the other location. They don't have to be 9 power, and you can play it on turn 6. In my opinion, some of the best cards in the game are the ones that get you late game high number amounts of cubes, and that is going to be Lady Deathstrike. Because your opponent is not going to see her coming. You can guarantee yourself a win on a lot of the locations. She doesn't have a ton of power, and I think she was really made perfectly. I think she's going to be one of these stronger cards that we talked about today, and she's awesome. So we have LukeCage, and LukeCage is going to be a pretty damn strong card. He only costs 2 energy, and he has an amazing ability, and that is that none of your cards can have their powers reduced. This is going to be a great counter to Hazmat, Scorpion, but even better than that, I think he's going to be an awesome counter to locations. Negative zone, all these locations that can hurt your cards. No longer with LukeCage on the field, and he doesn't cost a lot to get him out there. But on top of that, one other combo I think he can finally have some great synergy with is Typhoid Mary. Right now, Typhoid is not played a lot. Typhoid Mary gives -1 power to all of the cards on your side, and this is just a giant con, right? But whenever you play LukeCage, it's going to negate that, and that's going to have some strong combo potential. Next up, we've got Legion, and finally we have a control card that truly gives you choice and control. Legion is a 5-cost, 4-power unit. Legion here is going to change all of the locations to the location that you play him on, and that is absolutely huge. It's going to give you an ability to counter what your opponent is doing. You can get rid of things, or you can just make chaos with bar with no name on every location. I think Legion has a lot of kind of counterplay potential, and is going to be an awesome addition to so many decks. Let me know, like, what location would be the most busted with Legion? Ladies and gentlemen, sit down. We have saved the best for last. As of today, it's November 11th. This card has never been data mined and never been seen by the public before. But a huge thanks to our master data miner. We get a sneak peek look at the god Loki and what he is going to do when he comes to Marvel Snap. Now, Loki has an on-reveal ability that is absolute chaos and perfectly fitting. He's going to have you swap hands with your opponent, kind of like what Mindscape does on turn 6. And I am just beyond curious what both his power and cost is going to be. Now, again, this might change, but if it stays this way, those that just want to be the master of chaos and thrive in craziness, Loki's going to be the perfect card. I just don't know what you'll be able to do to counter this and what that associated cost will be. I think his energy will be anything from a 4 to 6 cost, because anything lower than that would just be way too much chaos. But let me know what you think of the first reveal of Loki, and obviously, guys, I'll continue to keep you updated. I can do that on my Discord as he gets more information about him. So hopefully this gets you pumped and hyped about the future of the game. Again, if you want part 2 of this video, and there's more cards that have been heavily data mined in that one as well, be sure to let me know by liking today's video and subscribe so you don't miss when that drops. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What are some crazy strong synergies that you can come up with from all the cards that we have revealed today? It has me hyped. There's a lot of strong potential to come to Snap. I'll be sure to have all these graphics today available on my Discord, so feel free to join the Snap community there. And then We're also going to break them down later in the week live on my Twitch, so I'll put my Twitch handle down below as well. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and until next time, happy snapping.